There are tens of thousands of professional football teams in the world, if not more than 100,000. Most likely, you've heard of a few dozen or hundreds, and you know a bit about the history of a team or a few. Today, you'll find out about the history of 9 more teams in addition to the ones you already know. All these teams have in common that they were founded by a company or by the employees of a company. These kind of teams are usually known as works team. Of course, there are hundreds of such teams worldwide, but we will talk about the most important 9 teams of this kind. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I am Alex Jacob, and on this channel I am trying to post videos about all kind of football stories. In case you are interested, you can subscribe to be notified every time I post. Okay, now that I've almost secured 1 subscriber, let's get to work. I will take it in descending order from the newly established teams to the oldest established teams. So, the first team on the list is RB Leipzig. Maybe few know, but they were founded only in 2009 by the energy drink company Red Bull. Yes, 2009, and the full name of the team is Rasenballsport Leipzig e.V. The company made its first attempt to enter the German football scene in 2006. Before investing in Leipzig, Red Bull searched 3.5 years for a suitable location in the German football. Eventually, they realized that Leipzig was the most favorable place for an investment given that there were no Bundesliga clubs within a wide area from the city. In addition, the city had a very good infrastructure with a large modern football stadium. The Central Stadion was a former 2006 FIFA World Cup venue and the second largest football stadium in the east of Germany. In 2009, SSV Markenstadt had agreed to sell its playing right for the Oberliga, which is the 5th year, to Red Bull for around 350,000 euros. Thus, Rasenballsport Leipzig e.V. was founded on May 19, 2009. Why Rasenballsport and not Red Bull? Because the statutes of the DFB would not allow the corporate name to be included in the club name, but through the use of the initials RB, which corresponds to the initials of the company, the corporate identity could still be recognized. Pretty smart. On its founding, RB Leipzig aimed to play in Bundesliga within 8 years with an investment of approximately 100 million euros in 10 years. They met their goal, and in the season number 8, they played in Bundesliga for the first time. This happened in the 2016-17 season when they also obtained the best ranking in the history of the club, the 2nd place. Besides, in 2 other seasons they finished 3rd, and in the 2019-2020 season they reached the Champions League semi-finals. The next team on the list is also from Germany, VfL Wolfsburg, which was founded in 1945. To talk about how this team was founded, first I have to tell you how the city of Wolfsburg was founded. This happened in 1938, and the city with this unpronounceable name,
Stadt des KdF-Wagens bei Fallersleben,
was created to house auto workers building the car that would later become famous as the Volkswagen Beetle. Initially, the company created a club called
BSG Volkswagen-Werkstatt des KdF-Wagen.
On the 12th of September 1945, in the aftermath of World War II, a new club was formed and was briefly known as VSK Wolfsburg. This team started playing in green and white, colors that are still used today at VfL. Just a few months after its establishment, in December 1945, something extremely interesting happened. The club went through a crisis that almost ended its existence when all but one of its players left to join another team, FC Wolfsburg. These players were not satisfied with their status at the club, so they split from the VfL and founded FC Wolfsburg on the 27th of December 1945. The only player remaining, Josef Meyer, worked with Willy Hilbert to rebuild the side by signing new players. The new group renamed the club in VfL Wolfsburg. VfL standing for
Verein für Leibesübungen.
This can be translated as Club for Gymnastics or Club for Exercises. Since then, both teams have played in Germany's second leagues. Long after its founding, in 1997, VfL Wolfsburg achieved promotion to the Bundesliga for the first time. The most important trophies in the history of the club are Bundesliga 2009, German Cup and Super Cup in 2015. Another car manufacturer that has set up a professional football team is Peugeot, the French car manufacturing company. In 1928, Football Club Sochaux Montbéliard was founded under the name Football Club Sochaux by Jean-Pierre Peugeot. He sought to create a football club for the leisure time of the company's workers. They were among the first to advocate for the professionalization of French football, and in 1929 they went as far as to admit to paying their players, which was strictly forbidden during the time. In June 1930, Montbéliard decided to merge with Sochaux to form the club that exists today. In the 1934-35 season, Sochaux captured its first league title. Later, they won another title in 1937-38, being the last title won to date. We change countries and arrive in the Netherlands, where we find out that PSV Eindhoven was founded in 1913 by the electronics company Philips. This was done to serve the need for activities with Philips employees. Initially, the company founded its own football team in 1910, the Philips Elftal. Due to several financial problems and worker strikes, that team disappeared quite quickly. In 1913, its successor emerged, Philips SV, founded on 31st of August. This day was chosen because on this day Philips organized celebrations and sports competition in light of the centennial defeat of the French in the Napoleonic Wars. It was not until 1916, however, that the football department switched its name to PSV. In 1921, they reached the first year of Dutch football, and in 1928-29, they won the first title. Since then, they have reached 24 titles and 9 cups. They were also successful internationally, winning the 1978 UEFA Cup, now known as the Europa League, and the heyday came in 1988 when they won the European Cup, now known as the Champions League. We are fast approaching the 19th century, but until then, we still have a small stop in the 20th century. In 1904, the pharmaceutical company Bayer AG founded the football club known today as Bayer Leverkusen. On November 27, 1903, several employees of the company wrote a letter seeking the company's support in starting a sports club. The company agreed to support the initiative, and on 1st of July 1904,
Turn- und Spielverein Bayer 04 Leverkusen
was founded. Because at that time there was significant animosity between gymnasts and other types of athletes, on the 31st of May 1907, a separate football department was formed within the club. Eventually, this contributed to a split within the club. On the 8th of June 1928, the footballers formed a separate association. SV Bayer 04 Leverkusen took with them the club's traditional colors of red and black, with the gymnasts adopting blue and yellow. The football club made the first appearance in the upper league division in 1951, but to this day they have failed to win any national titles. They only managed to win the German Cup in 1993 and the UEFA Cup in 1988. West Ham United is another team on the list. They have two accepted founding dates, one in 1895 and one in 1900. The earliest generally accepted incarnation of West Ham United was founded on the 29th of June 1895 as Thames Ironworks FC, the works team of the largest and last surviving shipbuilder on the Thames, Thames Ironworks and Shipbuilding Company. As with other teams in this video, due to several misunderstandings and financial problems, in June 1900, Thames Ironworks FC was disbanded. A few days later, on 5th of July 1900, West Ham United FC was founded. Today, they are known as the Irons or the Hammers amongst the fan and the media because of the original works team roots and links. They came to play in the First Division of England only in 1923, and the most important trophies won in their history are 3 FA Cups and 1 European Cup Winners' Cup. In Spain, football appeared at the end of the 19th century. The oldest football club in Spain is Recreativo de Huelva, founded in December 1889. Sevilla FC is the next oldest, being founded in January 1890. Sevilla was founded by several marine shipbuilding workers. They were British expatriates, mainly Scots, along with other young men of Spanish origin. Thus, Sevilla Football Club was founded on 25th of January 1890. Being only the second football team in Spain, Sevilla FC invited Recreativo de Huelva to play a football match. That was the first official football match played in Spain on March 8, 1890. With the exception of 2 Spanish players on the Huelva team and another 2 players on the Sevilla team, all the players on both sides were British. At the end of the match, Sevilla FC won 2-0. It was not until 1907 that other teams began to appear in the city of Sevilla, and in 1912 the Copa de Sevilla appeared. The domination of Sevilla was so evident that of the 19 championships of Andalusia played, 16 were won by the team. In 1918, they participated for the first time in the Spanish Cup, and in 1934 they played for the first time in the first division of the Campeonato Nacional. The most important trophies won at the national level are a title of national champions in 1946, 5 Spanish Cups and 1 Spanish Super Cup. Internationally, you probably already know that they hold the record for most UEFA Europa League trophies, that being 6 plus a Super Cup. Back in October 1886, Woolwich munitions workers founded a club called Dial Square Football Club, a team that today we know it as Arsenal. This club, Dial Square, had its home in Woolwich, Kent, now in southeast London. After just 1 month, the club changed its name to Royal Arsenal. In 1891, Royal Arsenal became the first London club to turn professional, and in 1893 they became a limited liability company and changed their name again, this time to Woolwich Arsenal. This team won promotion to the first division in 1904. Arsenal was not immune to financial problems either, and by 1910 they were close to bankruptcy. Because of these problems, in 1913 they relegated back to the second division and made a name change. They reduced Woolwich Arsenal to simply The Arsenal. In 1919, something very interesting happened. The sports competitions resumed after the end of the First World War. In the last pre-war season of 1914-15, Arsenal ranked 6th in the second division and did not have the right to promotion. The interesting part is just now coming. The Football League voted to promote The Arsenal instead of keeping local rivals Tottenham Hotspur in the first league, who had finished in relegation zone before the war. Some speculated that the club won this election to Division 1 by dubious means. Since that year, Arsenal have only played in the first league without relegating to this day. Also, in that year, the Arsenal started dropping D in official documents, gradually shifting its name for the final time towards Arsenal as it is generally known today. So far, Arsenal have 13 First League titles won, 14 FA Cups, 16 FA Community Shield and 1 UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. We stay in England also for the last team on the list. In 1878, Newton Heath LYR Football Club was founded. They were founded by the carriage and wagon department of the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Depot at Newton Heath, and today we know them as Manchester United. Some years after its founding, the club began the 1892 season in the first division, by which time it had become independent of the railway company and dropped the LYR from its name. After only 2 seasons, the club was relegated to the second division. The decision to become an independent club did not seem very wise in January 1902, when the club had debts of about £2,700 and they got a winding up order. Former Newton Heath captain Harry Stafford declined to accept the team's demise and began looking for investors to create a new debt-free team. After finding several local businessmen who were willing to invest, on the 24th of April 1902, Manchester United was officially born. A few years later, in 1906, Manchester United came to play in the first division, which they won in 1908, the club's first league title. Since then, everything is history and Manchester United is probably the biggest football club in English football. I'm curious how many of these clubs you knew were established by a company or by several employees of a company. Also, if I missed any team, you can leave it in the comments. A like or subscribe would help. Thanks for watching, see ya.